You wire up a heavy-duty, multi-kilowatt off-grid solar inverter. You plug in a standard kitchen refrigerator, an appliance that draws a measly 100 to 300 watts, and instantly, the entire system violently shuts down. Most system design guides focus strictly on the appliance nameplate. If the sticker says 150 running watts, standard industry logic dictates that a 2,000-watt inverter gives you plenty of headroom. But this shutdown has nothing to do with continuous power. Your inverter is not inherently too weak to run the fridge's normal cooling cycle. Even systems that are mathematically oversized by a factor of 10 still experience these sudden, hard lockouts, despite having a massive surplus of continuous power. The system collapses because it is being overwhelmed by mechanical inertia, specifically the unpredictable, instantaneous electrical energy required to force a heavy physical object to move from a dead stop. To engineer a system that survives, you must stop treating the refrigerator as a fixed-watt device. It is a highly dynamic, transient load system. These transient surge events happen so incredibly fast that if you measure the current with a standard digital multimeter, the screen will completely miss the true peak of the spike. Building your solar layout around the average running wattage guarantees failure during these peak transient events. You have to design for the surge dynamics. Inside every refrigerator is a compressor, and inside that compressor is a physical AC motor responsible for pumping refrigerant. Electrically, this makes the compressor an inductive motor load. At exactly time zero, before the thermostat clicks, the internal rotor is completely stationary. The motor's electrical impedance, shown on the baseline, is practically zero. The instant the compressor tries to start, a massive, unrestricted wall of electrical current floods the motor to overcome the rotor's weight. It is identical to forcing open a heavy mechanical lock. You apply maximum physical force to achieve initial movement. The exact millisecond the rotor turns, it generates back EMF. The impedance sharply rises, forcing that massive current spike down to a stable operating level. That violent, demanding inrush phase is disconnected from the quiet, low-wattage running phase that follows. Yet standard sizing guides only account for the post-startup running phase, ignoring the mechanical struggle required to reach it. An inductive motor is a localized mechanical traffic jam. It forces an immense temporary power bottleneck on your entire electrical supply. To understand why this breaks your system, we have to trace that power demand backward, out of the compressor and into the inverter's AC output stage. The inverter is instantly burdened with supplying this massive AC current spike without allowing the voltage to drop. Power equals voltage times current. To push a massive wave of AC current to the fringe, the inverter must pull an equivalent amount of DC power in. This translates the AC surge into a power vacuum, pulling aggressively from your DC wiring and battery cells. This vacuum places intense physical stress on the DC cables bridging the battery bank and the inverter. The shift from a localized AC motor problem to a system-wide DC supply crisis occurs in fractions of a second. The inverter is just a middleman. The actual heavy lifting during a surge depends entirely on your DC energy reserves. A motor's mechanical startup resistance directly translates into a systemic DC power vacuum, exposing any weak link in your battery supply chain. In the precise millisecond that DC power vacuum hits, the system components are forced to evaluate whether they can survive the surge. If they cannot, the system shuts down. This diagram maps the three failure paths. The first is instantaneous overcurrent. The power flow causes the inverter's MOSFET components to cross a critical thermal threshold, triggering an automatic shutoff. This overcurrent trip prevents the internal switching transistors from melting. The second path is a DC bus voltage collapse. The intense current draw causes a sharp voltage drop across the cables, falling deeply below the inverter's low voltage cutoff line. Undersized DC wiring actively accelerates this voltage collapse. The third path is a battery management system lockout. The BMS detects the extreme current flow and instantly severs the connection to protect the internal lithium cells. This lockout is highly common in modern lithium iron phosphate systems, which operate using rigid, instantaneous digital safety limits. Older lead-acid batteries react differently. They sag heavily under pressure, but rarely disconnect themselves completely. During a surge event, all three of these conditions are met simultaneously, racing each other to see which protection trigger will fire first. When an inverter fails under a fridge load, it is rarely a broken product. It is almost always your system's safety logic successfully preventing an electrical fire or the destruction of your components. The real-world operational symptom of this problem is a repetitive loop of death. The fridge clicks on, the system dies, it resets, and tries again. Look at the physical toll this repeated cycling takes, the massive electrical load physically vibrating these thick copper cables. Over hours of unmonitored failed restarts, this repetitive cycling places immense cumulative thermal stress on the internal inverter components. The repeated high current bursts cause accelerated degradation to the battery chemistry and physically weaken connector joints through rapid heat expansion. To permanently stabilize a system against inductive loads, we have to enforce 3 specific engineering corrections. First, the new rule for inverter sizing. Capacity must be dictated by the compressor's locked rotor amps, or LRA. This blueprint schematic illustrates a system where the continuous running wattage is entirely ignored, and the inverter is explicitly matched to the LRA rating. Second, your DC infrastructure must be aggressively upsized beyond continuous power needs. You need thick cables to minimize voltage drop during millisecond surge events. Third, the continuous and surge limits of your battery's BMS must mathematically exceed the total inrush current translation. A system that works perfectly fine for basic lighting and electronics is still deeply flawed if it collapses the moment it faces mechanical inertia. In off-grid electrical engineering, long-term survival is dictated strictly by the absolute extremes of a load profile. It is never defined by the average.